From the Samson Production Studios in the heart of Hazleton, Pennsylvania, it's your News 13.
Brought to you by SSPTV and the Standard Speaker.
An 86-year-old man escapes from a raging fire that heavily damages an historic home at the Ecklie Miners Village, fleeing the flames in Ecklie. Our top story on News 13 for this Tuesday. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Kathy Bazinski. A fire this morning at Ecklie Miners Village destroyed a man's lifelong home as well as nearly a century of memories. He's doing just fine, but as Matthew Petrillo tells us, fire crews did sustain some injuries.
For the past 96 years, George Guerra has spent his entire life living in this Ecklie Miners Village home. Today he fled from it, watching as a fire ripped through it.
My nerves were shot, that's for sure. I thank heaven for the smoke detectors. They're the ones awakened me. I was sound asleep.
A century of memories may be impossible to replace, but he's thankful to still be alive.
The smoke was so tremendous, I couldn't even see the exit to the doors. I don't know how I made it out. Heavy smoke.
He made it out thanks to Quinn Zell, who was working on a restoration project nearby.
And they couldn't see nothing behind them, so we had to get him out and try to get him to stay out, because he kept going back in.
The smoke was thick, but Zell says he knew most of Guerra's family and had to save him.
And we seen the house on fire, so then we tried to go in there and find the hose and find the old man, because he was then inside.
Well, I'm more concerned about the personal possessions that I will lose in the fire. Hard to replace. I'm very nervous.
By the time fire crews came onto the scene, flames were ripping apart the home.
Now, there has been one injury with the fireman due to smoke inhalation. He's in the hospital right now, and he's expected to do okay.
We're doing our best to save what we can, but again, you know, it's an old town, and the water pressure here is terrible. So that was the biggest problem we had, was water.
Additional units, including tanker trucks, were dispatched because of the low water pressure. Guerra lived alone, but family members who visited say they're also losing a lot from this morning's fire. But his great-grandson is happy to have at least saved one thing.
Everything else I knew that was gone, but as long as he's okay, that's the main thing.
Fire crews suspect the cause to be from an electrical fire. A state police fire marshal was called to investigate further. Matthew Petrillo, News 13, Ecklie.
Well, people in another community celebrating the loss of one business. Months and months of fighting to get the former Mensak Correctional Facility out of downtown Hazleton have apparently paid off. Christina Papa spoke with a cross-section of officials and residents to see what they think of Pennsylvania's cutoff of the facility's contract and funding.
A correctional facility that houses pre-released prisoners, parolees, and sex offenders has officially lost all state funding.
We have big news and very exciting news. I've received word from administration officials that they are no longer going to be sending any state funding to the Mensak facility in Hazleton.
Yesterday, the House approved a cut in Governor Corbett's budget, which will stop all funding to Hazleton's Mensak facility. 2 state-funded contracts were discontinued in late December. Now that the one remaining contract will not be reissued at the end of the month, the correctional facility will have to move out of the downtown. Representative Tara Tuhel has been fighting to get Mensak out of the downtown since she took office.
In our downtown, most of the crime has come from this. We've had escapees, drugs, all sorts of thefts and issues, and really it was stemming from the Hazleton facility and that it was not run correctly.
Hazleton Chamber of Commerce's Donna Palermo was also instrumental in the fall of Mensak.
Well, we at the Chamber are ecstatic about this result. We've been working on this for 3 years now. And just because it has been so detrimental to the downtown.
Business leaders say that the building that sits right in the middle of Broad Street in Hazleton is a perfect place for a new business and hopefully can bring more jobs to the area.
Although officials are excited about Mensak leaving, folks in the area have mixed opinions on the facility.
Well, I think it's a good thing in a way. It's going to lower crime in a way.
I think that this is wrong because they deserve their own chance here, you understand me? They're just like us, other humans, and they deserve another chance at their own life and to get work and to find a job and pay their own bills.
Tell you the truth, the element's still here. And then just because that place is leaving doesn't mean it's going to clean anything up anytime soon.
Christina Papa, News 13, Hazleton.
Well, the director of Luzerne County's Election Bureau has already taken responsibility for major problems which occurred during last month's primary election. But for those affected, that's not enough. As Stephanie Gorney tells us, folks went to a meeting of her supervisors last night and gave them an earful.
Everybody said, do your duty and go and vote. If you don't vote, you shouldn't complain. Well, I voted and I'm complaining.
It's been 2 weeks since a series of mistakes affected the primary election for at least one race in the Hazleton area. On Monday evening, council members, school board candidates, and even concerned citizens came out to a Luzerne County Election Board meeting, and they were furious.
It is what your answer. You've been tricking around with this thing for how long now? It's been in the papers, and you haven't come up with any answers. Now, do you have authority or don't you have authority?
It's your fault. I don't care what the precedent is. You have to correct it. Not me or not any other voter, and I don't understand why you're not taking responsibility.
Most of the complaints were about the Hazleton School Board race and the lack of communication that left Steve Hahn's name on the ballot in Schuylkill and Carbon counties, long after he'd withdrawn from the race.
This isn't going away, because when you have a job, and your job is to get the names on the ballot, and if they're taken off, to take them off the ballot, then you do it, or you shouldn't get paid. And if you're getting paid, you should be fired.
But the board members had little to offer to the crowd about the Election Bureau mistake and could only say that they were looking into it.
The best answer that this board can provide at this time that one, we are aware of the problem. Yes, we take responsibility for it, and we are investigating ways to fix it, or at least to prevent it from happening again.
Bob Curasso of Wilkes-Barre Township is angry about how members of the board has been conducting themselves and wants to see a whole new board.
The problem is that this board doesn't understand that this board doesn't understand. Please resign now to restore pride in our county, restore pride in our democracy, and to restore pride in ourselves.
Stephanie Gorney, News 13, Wilkes-Barre.
And still ahead on News 13, a delightful day, but it feels more like September than June, when and if the temperatures will head towards summer, coming up on News 13 weather. And hopefully the thermometer will get back to the point where we can hit the pool, but that'll mean swimming safety. And we'll have some tips when News 13 continues. Well, some workers at a nearby food market are putting down the groceries and celebrating a job well done. The Hazleton Area School District gives every student a work-study opportunity, including some special needs students. 11th graders came to Heritage Market every day this year, stocking shelves, cleaning up spills, organizing the carts, and any other tasks that needed to get done around the store. So to thank them today, the store threw them a party.
And it's been very successful so far, and what we're doing today is it's our end of the year picnic, and Heritage, they're kind enough to do this every year for us.
They're a huge help, and this is the third complete year that they've been here with us, and without these guys, the store wouldn't look as good as it looks. They're fantastic.
Everybody said they did a great job, and this is the fourth year the Hazleton School District and the Heritage Market have worked together on the project. They say they plan to continue the program next year. And it's time now for our regional weather from the National Weather Service. Checking the radar, nothing to see here but some ground reflection from radar out of Binghamton. Beyond that, nothing but clear skies, but that's what's keeping things chilly, especially overnight. Our creative condition is perfect for a bright sunny day. It's by Ashley Sywell, a student at Valley Elementary. She's playing outside her big pink house by a flower that's almost as big as she is. Now let's take a look at News 13 weather from the National Weather Service. For Greater Hazleton for tonight, it'll be clear and chilly with the low getting down to 46 degrees. And for Wednesday, mostly sunny with a high near 73. Slight chance of showers, however, moving into the overnight with a low down to 51. And heading to Schuylkill County tonight, clear and chilly with a low around 46 degrees. And for Wednesday, sunny, the high getting all the way up to almost 76 degrees, but a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms during the overnight with a low around 53 degrees. And let's check the winning midday lottery numbers. Good luck if you played. The daily, 277. Big 4, 8025. Quinto, 27883. And the treasure hunt, 6, 9, 23, 27, 30. Hope you won.
Good evening, everyone, and here's tonight's Talk of the Town report. Surviving Together, a free support group of the American Cancer Society Greater Hazleton Unit, will be meeting Thursday, June 6th at 6 p.m. at Perkins Family Restaurant. Call today to make a reservation, 570-427-8222. And finally, the Shenandoah Open Air Downtown Farm Market will launch the 2013 season June 25th. The market will continue from 8 a.m. to noon, Tuesdays and Fridays. That's tonight's Talk of the Town. News 13 would like to send sincere condolences to the family and friends of these recently departed. Joseph J. Karch of Harwood. Funeral is Friday at 9:30 a.m. from the Frank J. Bonin Funeral Home. Friends may call Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. Henry J. Buster Roberts of Hazleton. Arrangements will be private and at the convenience of the family from the Cropton Hughes Funeral Home. Leonard A. Detour of Hazleton. Mass is Wednesday at 11 a.m. in the Most Precious Blood Church. Friends may call at the church from 10 to 11 a.m. The Furo Funeral Home is in charge of arrangements. And Regina V. Stoltz of Mount Bethel. Services were private from the Gaffney Parsons Funeral Home. Tonight's obituaries have been brought to you by the Smilax Floral Shop located on 15th Street in Hazleton. For delivery to all local funeral homes, call 570-454-0111. And by Mia's, once again, the Hazleton area's #1 rated restaurant. Call 570-501-3410 for information on luncheon packages.
Welcome to the final super segment of the year. I'm joined by Mr. Basic, the assistant to the superintendent, and the school year is coming to an end, and that means a lot of special things for the students. Can you maybe explain what are you looking forward to? The students are graduating soon.
They are. Graduation will be held on Thursday, June 13th at 6 o'clock. It will be in front of our high school, as we've been doing for the last couple of years, and certainly we're looking forward to that. It's a beautiful ceremony. The preparations are being made now. Our maintenance staff will be setting up approximately 6,000 chairs over the next couple of days. Stage will be brought in middle of next week, and they'll be able to get a couple of practice sessions in preparation for graduation.
And besides that, the students will have a couple special ceremonies before they graduate.
Correct. We've already had our National Honor Society induction this past week, and last Sunday afternoon was the senior awards ceremony. On Wednesday evening of next week at 6 o'clock at the high school auditorium is our Distinguished Graduate Ceremony, and that's a ceremony where the district honors approximately 120 students who throughout their high school career have kept their grade point average at 97 or above. And it's, again, a beautiful ceremony. Mr. Petrone and his staff do a great job of gathering data on students, where they're going to college and what kinds of activities they were involved in and so on. It really does put a spotlight on the best and the brightest that we have in the district.
So the school year is officially over for the students on the 13th?
Correct. On Thursday, June 13th. Teachers will work Friday, June 14th, according to their contract. And then next week, we begin the preparation for next school year and trying to get things in place, and interviewing and those kinds of things will all go on during the summer.
Okay, but you'll be, settling down, cooling off this summer, I guess, because Mr. Basic, you won't be returning. You're retiring this year. Is that right?
That's correct. I will be here until probably the end of June. And then someone else hopefully will be here in my place, making sure that everything's ready for the next school year.
Okay, well, thanks again from the whole news team, and we really appreciate doing this every week with us. That's this week's super segment. We'll keep you updated, and we'll have the next super segment hopefully in early September or in late August to, update some more about what's going on in the Hazleton Area School District. For this week's super segment, I'm Christina Papa. We'll see you in September.
SSPTV Sports on News 13 with Fred Barletta Jr.
Well, it seemed to all be fitting into place. It was an absolutely gorgeous day. The Lady Cougars have been on a little bit of a roll, and so as the PIAA Quad A tournament started, you were hoping that this would be step one of a couple for this Lady Cougar team and go a little bit deep in the state playoffs. Let's go up to the field at Wilkes University inside Kirby Park, watching some of the highlights Of course, the Lady Cougars wearing the scarlet and silver. And you're taking on Daniel Boone. Daniel Boone out of District 3. They're the District 3 number 2 seed. And while Becky Demko was pitching very well for the Lady Cougars, well, she was actually being outdone. Demko made a grand total of 2 mistakes. Both of them went out of the yard. The Lady Cougars, who really don't strike out an awful lot, they struck out 7 times in the game. That's almost once per inning, and that's the most they did all year. Now, they did threaten, they did score a run, but they couldn't overcome the big bats of Daniel Boone and the great pitching. And that was what did them in. And so the Lady Cougars, who are Wyoming Valley Conference champs, District 2 champs, their season comes to an end yesterday in the opening round of the PIAA playoffs. Final in this one, Daniel Boone, 4-1 winners over the Lady Cougars. So pretty good season put forth. Just didn't like the way it ended, right? Well, that happens unless you win the state championship, I guess. Anyhow, we take a look at the upper half of the brackets. 2 key games will be played today, not yesterday. One of them is between Neshaminy and St. Hubert's, and that's who now is going to play Daniel Boone. That game is scheduled for tomorrow. Same thing with Central Bucks East. That game scheduled for today, so that half of the bracket we won't know. In girls AAA softball yesterday, Valley View, defending state champs from outside Scranton, 5-0 winners over Jersey Shore. They'll wait and see who they're going to play today. Meanwhile, District 11 champ Bethlehem Catholic advances with a win over Donegal. AA, the game in front of Hazelton area was a dandy. Holy Redeemer in extra innings wins 1-0 over Warrior Run. They'll wait and see who they're going to play today between Conwell Egan and Pequot Valley. And you see your other winners in the top half of the bracket, Penn Argyl easily and Brandywine Heights. So that's the way it goes. Single A girls softball winners. Northern Bradford over Old Forge, Williams Valley over Bloomsburg, and Hinman Charter over Greenwood. So they are the teams who will advance. There is your lineup for today's Quad A baseball. And you can see in that half of the bracket a lot of familiar teams, including North Penn playing Parkland. As far as Valley West, yesterday they advance, and they'll wait and see who wins between LaSalle College and Penridge. How about Valley West? Now they've turned it around and really have gotten red hot coming down the stretch here in the second half of the season, and they win yesterday by the score of 2-0, and they advance. So the Spartans keep on rolling. AAA, Holy Ghost Prep is a winner. So is Tamaqua. They were ahead 11-1 after 6 innings. That's the 10-run rule as they beat Franklin Township. So the Blue Raiders will now play Abington Heights. Abington Heights knocked off Jersey Shore, so that could be a very good quarterfinal game tomorrow. AA, you had some rainouts and postponements, but Hughesville did beat Kutztown, and DeLone Catholic and Loyal Sauk advance as well. Finally, in Single A, you have Canton knocking off Lancaster Christian, and Old Forge sneaks by Tri-Valley. Devon Prep over York Catholic. So the baseball and softball playoffs off and rolling, folks. We'll keep you tuned in all the way.
Well, hopefully the weather will warm back up soon and we'll be able to hit the area pools and lakes. But are you and your kids ready to jump into the deep end? Christine with Papa spoke with some local lifeguards to get a couple of tips on swimming safety.
Summer's right around the corner, and you know what that means. But before letting the little ones jump in, YMCA's swim coach Robert Gould says there are a few water safety tips parents should review.
Parents should always be supervising their children when they're around water, playing at water. Especially young kids, preschoolers, toddlers. They should extra special care with them.
According to the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission, last summer there were 137 child drowning deaths in the United States.
Could drown in a very small amount of water, like even a backyard blow-up pool. Just a few inches would be enough to send a toddler panicking and have distress.
Rob advises folks to never swim without a lifeguard, but if a swimmer finds themselves in a fishy situation, rule 1, relax and roll onto your back.
Usually if someone's having trouble swimming, rolling onto their back, keeping their head up, just trying to keep their mouth above water. A lot of times they can't call for help, but if they could call for help or if they could wave their arm, but really rolling on your back and keeping your mouth up is the best way to stay afloat.
Joanne has been swimming all his life, but knows even the best swimmers shouldn't mess around in the water.
No matter who you are or how good of a swimmer you are, always be safe first before actually getting in the water.
New swimmers or folks diving into a new area shouldn't be afraid to use a preserver.
But water wings aren't just for kids. Joanne says you're never too old to use a life preserver.
Every time you go out, you should try to always wear a life jacket with you. It doesn't matter how good of a swimmer you are, anyone can have trouble out there.
And Rob says the best way to keep kids safe around water?
Get your kids swim lessons, teach them how to swim is the best thing you can do over the summer.
But Rob has helped folks of all ages get their water wings. He says it's never too late to learn how to swim. Christina Papa, News 13, Hazleton.
And plenty more news and information headed your way on News 13. A harrowing morning for a gentleman when his historic home goes up in flame. That story and much more news when the 13 crew comes right back.